Welcome to Third Tuesday Conversation, the ELCA Youth Ministry Network's monthly podcast. Our goal is to engage in conversations affirming that youth ministry looks a million different ways in a million different places and with a million different experiences. Hi, my name is Veronica Brito, and I'm coming to you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And who's with me today?
Hey, this is Alex LaChapelle in Marquette, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula.
And this is Jessica Noonan coming to you from Katy, Texas. Well, today, friends, we're almost to that season where there's holidays and maybe we're starting to think about next summer. When we take any trip, there's preparation, right?
Yes.
Packing, research on where to go, what to do, planning how you'll get there, all the things, right? Well, this episode is about preparing for service trips, but not in the way you're probably thinking about. So this is all about preparing your leaders and group with intentionality in the posture of accompaniment. Sometimes, we can over-focus, right, on the trip itself, and we overlook the ways that we need to be preparing our hearts and minds as we enter into another community. So to help us with our conversation today, we are joined by Dr. Neil Christians, Middle School Ministry Director of Lord of Life Lutheran in Maple Grove, Minnesota. That's a lot of M's. I had a hard time saying that. Neil is a seasoned youth minister and dear friend who has served for over 32 years in congregational ministry. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you. It's glad to be here.
Yay, so glad to have you. Woohoo!
And in the spirit of youth ministry, he just finished doing confirmation a little bit ago, had a retreat last weekend, has a retreat this weekend. So we're catching him in between everything. Neil, first, tell us a little bit about yourself. What your work looks like, kind of your what you want, whatever you want to tell us about you.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks. I'm originally from Minnesota. I grew up in the Twin Cities area. And after my undergrad in choir, I was going to be a choir teacher from University of Minnesota up in Duluth. And God had different plans for me. He called me into ministry, and I moved to Houston, Texas, where I knew not one single person. So I moved down there, made a lot of close friends there. I was down there for 15 years before God called me to North Carolina. So moved across to the other coast. Was there for about 7 years, did high school ministry, and then I also did the executive director as well as high school ministry at the same time there. Then I felt God calling me to maybe a new chapter in my life. I moved back to Minnesota and I tried lead to be a congregational coach. I found out that is not my gift. That is not where I needed to be. And so I thought I was going to do, there's a ministry called Inner Serve that helps congregations switch, flip the tarp, if you will, to make sure they're a healthy congregation. I was going to do that. And I was going to be the Inner Serve person here at Lord of Life. And they decided they didn't want to do Inner Serve. They decided they were going to do it full time. And I felt that tug of the Holy Spirit. And I've been here for about 9 years. I am the director of middle school, so I focus on 6th grades on Sunday mornings, and then I have 7th and 8th grade for our confirmation. So like I said, just tonight we just finished up. We have a whole different hours. We have a Wednesday night. We have a couple different ones on Sunday night. Give you a perspective. Our 7th grade class is 130 students. So we have quite a few confirmands to manage and to corral every week. So it's a lot of fun. But not only that, but I love doing things like leadership events for our high schoolers and middle schoolers to do Vacation Bible School and a program we do Summer Stretch and, of course, the mission trip. So yeah that's kind of me.
Okay, I just have to say that is a lot of junior high kids, first of all. And secondly, I did not know you studied choir as undergrad. It makes so many things make sense to me right now, Neil.
Is it really called choir? Like, do you just study choir, or do you what was the actual degree?
Music education.
Okay. You're like, I studied choir. I was like, you're making every choir director go, I'll punch him in the face. We don't study choir. We
I
are
thought it was
established.
true. I was about to ask AI, how do I get a degree in choir?
Right. It's like when I tell my buddy Tony, hey, you're a gym teacher. He's like, you say it again to my face. And then I don't because he could pummel me. But
Yes. Well,
that
all right.
cleared it up.
Focusing us back in. So Neil, tell us. I'm getting looks from Alex right now. Friends, you can't see that. So tell us, how do you define accompaniment?
How do I define accompaniment? I would say it's walking alongside of people. It's got to be, though, done with a mindset of mutuality.
Yeah.
It's got to be an interdependent understanding, rather than something like as a domineering or a saving or a beneficiary kind of
Yeah.
style of service. It's very different. I personally think it has to be rooted in a relationship. It has got to be rooted in community as well. So, kind of in a nutshell, that's how I kind of define accompaniment.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that you said the word interdependence. I once read a young adult novel that suggested hate is the lack of understanding of our interdependence. And I feel like once we start to realize that, especially as a church, we start to recognize like why mutuality matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's one of the last sermons that Martin Luther King Jr. preached. It was around Christmas, and there's this really great quote. Of course, I can't remember it exactly, but it was about mutuality, right? Like understanding that that my value, it's not the right words, but my value is connected to your value, right? That it is, all of life is interwoven. And I love that quote, right? Like, I think that speaks to how you're defining that, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a minute, I'll actually find the real quote because I can't remember things at all. So what, as you think about, right, like all the trips you've done and right, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? What are some of the common pitfalls of not preparing your adult leaders for service experience with this kind of posture of accompaniment? Like, what bad things can happen, Neil? Tell us.
Name names too.
This is the
Name
warning
names.
label, friends. This is like the warning label on the package. Yeah.
Yeah, all names have been changed to protect the innocent
And the guilty.
and the guilty. Yes, 100%. Yeah, for me, for adults, it's we actually now, like, I have an application process where adults can't just say, I'm going on the trip, right? They have to apply.
Yeah.
Is one of the things is, and I actually then sit down one-on-one with each adult beforehand to make sure that we're on the same page, that they understand what this trip is about, what their role is, what's expected of them. Because I've had I've had trips where one of the adults would say, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to meet some friends in town for dinner," and that was the pastor of the church, and I was like, "Excuse me, right? No, that's not why we're here." I've had I've had adults telling students, "I'm sorry, but in our van we don't listen to the devil's music." I was like, "What?"
Oh man.
Yeah.
What is the
I've
devil's
had-
music? Like, I'm intrigued. Is that Taylor Swift? Is that Pantera? Like, Nitty
Any
Gritty
and
Dirt
all.
Band?
Yeah. Any and all. Yeah.
It has
Yeah,
electric
also-
guitar in it. That's
Yep. Anything with electric guitar in it. It's the devil's music, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
You know? And then I've also had like parents like treating their own kids special treatment or like treating the mission trip like this isn't a family vacation for you. Like we're here as a community and we're here to do something intentional. So yeah, having that conversation is super important. Having the right leaders for that foundation is vital. I would also say that one of the things that we talk about is like, what is the mission trip? You know, why do we call it a mission trip? Having those conversations of, we I don't think can do accompaniment when I go to another city and to do service work. Like I can't do accompaniment because in a week we're leaving, right? Our work is to help people do accompaniment in the towns. So we always like to partner with the local organizations. And I am upfront with the kids and the adults. Like we're in there to do like the grunt work, the admin stuff, like sorting foods, sorting clothes, so that we can free up the local people's time, right? So they can be in that relationship. That's what our work is. The mission trip isn't the service work. The mission trip are the students going on the trip. Right? That's the mission work. Those are the people that we're going to walk alongside of, that we want them to have a transformational experience so they can continue to live out the gospel in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Does that track?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, talked about not preparing the adult leaders, but what are the common pitfalls of not preparing the students? Like they're just showing up. I'm here. I helped raise my money, or my mom paid it all. I'm here for the trip. What are some common pitfalls that you've seen of not preparing students for this type of service?
Yeah, it's a great question. And especially when you're working with middle school students, there's a lot of things that I've seen go wrong and go haywire. Some of the things that we do intentionally is we have 2 pre-trip meetings before the mission trip, because I want to build community so the kids know other kids on the trip. They know the adults that are going on the trip, right? So that day 1 of the mission trip, there's already a sense of who we are as a community for that year's trip. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But then also in that time is we want to set some expectations. Mm-hmm. Like I always tell the kids, it's like the mission trip is a big deal, right? This is an important thing that's happening in your life. And it would be negligent of me to let you go on the trip without preparing you for that trip. Mm-hmm. I just see it as irresponsible. And then I'm just honest with the kids on that kind of thing. So we have these 2 trip meetings, and we do Bible study where they learn that one of my pet peeves, and I think Jessica knows this, is when people say, we're going to help the less fortunate. Like it just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So we talk about like, how are people less fortunate than us? How are they more fortunate than us? What are things that we're going to do? Where's God going to show up in the people you are serving with that's going to impact your life? Like, how do you approach people? Like, how are you approaching the service work? We do some Bible studies on how we see that in Scripture, how we treat others, how we understand who our neighbor is, and to expect Jesus is going to show up, right? Mm-hmm. The kids expect that you're going to be transformed by this experience, because if you don't expect it and you don't pray for it, is it really going to happen, right? So setting these kids up.
Yeah. Or will you notice, right? I mean, I think that's part of what we have to do is help them. And I mean, I do this with adults all the time, right? Is helping them to see the movement of the Holy Spirit. And to pay attention to those times, because sometimes it is a small, still voice nudging you. Sometimes it's really loud and we're just dumb and we don't hear it either, too. So there's that.
Well, I think, too, it's that thing where you go, if you don't write down what you want or expect, you don't have a starting point, both for adults and for those young people. And I think, you said something about prayer, and I saw something the other day that said, what if God comes to you tomorrow and says yes? What did you ask for? And the question is, did you actually pray? One, but what was your prayer? Was it parking spots and Packer victories over the Vikings? Or was it, I prayed for like my eyes to be open to the suffering in my world, that I would understand that like I have a log when I'm looking at someone else's speck, like all those things, especially on a mission trip, where when you do go to the hurricane or when you do go to the urban settings where it looks like poverty and it looks like something that needs help, then your response is, well, we must be good. They must be less fortunate, or even sometimes this is bad. this is scary. And it's like you're talking about someone's home and where they live. And how do you come with that respect? How do you kind of protect around that savior complex that those parents and sometimes those students as well will bring to the table?
Absolutely. Yeah, so some of the other things like that I've seen are when we prepare the students, I've seen like their attitude, right? Just treating like, oh, this is going to be like summer camp, which there's nothing wrong with summer camp. This is just a different experience, right? So the expectations need to be set. The behavior needs to be set. And one of the other things is that we talk about is we have the kids, we're not only just serving people in the city we're serving each other. That's what it means, right? They're going to prepare meals for each other. They have different leadership roles and they're serving each other because that's what it means to be part of a community, right? We work together. We help each other out. And to set that foundation, I think is super important.
Yeah. Having worked with the ELCA youth gathering, it's almost always the adults that have a bad attitude.
Yep.
Because they were upset that their project did not align with their vision of what a service project was supposed to look like. But when you have adults that have been trained, and go in with the mindset of, hey, we're here to serve in the way they've asked us to serve. Right. And that might look like learning. It might look like painting a fence. It might look like a lot of different things, right? Not only physical, but also the learning that goes along with, I think, service and accompaniment. And I just talked to somebody the other day, one of the churches I'm working with, and she was like, oh, we were at the gathering in Houston. And she was telling me, and I'm like, oh, well, what was your project? And she said, so they ended up with, it's a project called the Red Sand Project. And it's, they do awareness. They do a lot of things, but mostly around awareness around human trafficking. And so there were a number of groups that learned, and then they take red sand and you pour red sand in like the cracks of sidewalks and leave messages and stuff along with it. And so it's a cool awareness, and they train, police officers and first responders, all kinds of folks. But she said, I wasn't quite sure when we got that assignment, when we found out what it was, if it would, right. Oh gosh, will this be helpful? Will this, will this, my kids understand, how important this is? And I mean, I really think this is a Holy Spirit moment. Her church was in Seattle, which is a port city, and human trafficking is highest in port cities. That is why we had groups doing things like this in Houston, because Houston's a port city. And anyways, she said it was like, they still talk about it, and, it had, and prompted them to learn more, right? Like all of these things. And I think that's what happens when, you have your leaders who are prepared and your students are prepared. They go in with a different mindset of, right, we're only here for a little bit of time. I mean, you said it really right, Neil. And let's respond in the way they need us to respond. That frees them up for the other things. So I love that. Do you have other tips that help prepare, or maybe even during the trip, things that you do? Because that's still, I think, part of, even though that's at the trip, right? I think that's still part of the preparing, to go in with things that you do, practices you have. So they don't fall into that savior complex, right? Like, oh, we're here to help them, and yay us.
We are such good, strong people that we can, yeah. Well, and some of the things, like I said, the Bible study, super important. I always use James 2, where it's talking about how to love your neighbor as yourself. Philippians 2, we always use that one. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit. So especially with middle schoolers, it's like, leave your ego at the door. You don't need that here. It's not going to help you on this trip. So those kind of things. And also intentionally using the language of working with others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're
Yeah.
going to serve God with the people that we're going to meet in the
Yeah.
town. Right? We're going to serve with them.
Gosh, yeah.
And then we also do, so like you said, so we do that before, but then on the trip, every morning we have a morning Devo time. And to set up the expectations today, make sure you're looking for God.
Yeah.
Today, what's one way you can encourage somebody with your words? Today, which relationship can you connect with?
Mhm.
Right? So every day setting up some kind of expectations for them. And then every evening we have worship and stuff, but in that worship are small group times to process, where did you see God today? Like, how did you walk alongside somebody today? How did God show up in what you saw today? Right? So bookending every single day on the trip, really,
Yeah.
that's been vital for us as well. So yeah, preparing the hearts and minds every morning, every evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, there's some other things like I do, and I didn't realize it was vital until afterwards. I reflected back and I was like, huh, I guess that's a really important thing. One of the things I do is every year we have the last night we have a commissioning item.
Mm.
So last year, well, like I'll say like, well, last year we did the bandanas that we
Mhm.
tied in strips, we tied them on our hands to remember we dunk them in water and remember our baptism. And how are we going to continue to live out our baptism
Mhm.
as we live this place? Like, how are you going to continue to be a Christ follower after this trip when you go home? And I'll mention that. And as I mention it, I'll say, like last year we did this, and I'll have 3 or 4 kids be like, yep, right here. They've had it on the wrist for
Mm.
the whole year
Oh,
because
I
it
love
meant
it.
that much.
Yeah.
And one of the years we did, the coins where they have the cross cut out, the
Oh,
inside of the
yeah.
coin. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that last year to talk about how we always look at people through the lens of the cross. We see everybody as a
Oh,
child
yeah.
of God, and how do you treat others because they're a child
Hmm.
of God? And my adult leader said, "Yep, right here on my ankle." My adult leader had had it for the last year. He had not taken it off.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
really, connected for me of saying like, this isn't just a ministry for my middle school students. This is like an adult,
Oh,
deep,
yeah.
meaningful thing for them. So having that physical item, yeah, it was huge because it helped remind them, right, why they were
Yeah.
there, who they are.
Yeah. Well,
So
that, right. This isn't just a one-time thing, right? Like this is a way of being,
yeah,
right? This is living our faith out every day, and it goes with us in all the places that we go. Alex,
absolutely.
you unmuted. I know you have
Yeah.
a question.
No, well, I was gonna say I love anything that's like I feel like sacramental is like how I see
Mm-hmm.
these things because it's the
Mm-hmm.
tangible.
Yeah.
What can I have that can connect? Like I always tell people, a dirty puddle of water can remind you of your baptism. If you allow it to, and and
Hmm.
and like a table with friends in the high school can remind you of Holy Communion if you let it. But I
Hmm.
think my question also was, you've been doing this long enough. There has to be at least 1 or 2 times maybe where you've gotten there, and on the other side, maybe they've failed you. They didn't have enough stuff because sounds like you bring some solid groups. Now you show up, you're 100% ready. They go, great, we got this, and they fly through it, and they're going, hey, we got 3 more hours. What else do you need? They're like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
we need you to slow down. How do you respond? Because I can imagine somebody, especially those early youth directors that might be listening, saying, I went this year to a place and they didn't have work. Habitat only had one project, but we brought 10 people and we told them we were going to do something. And now we're getting in that disconnect. How do you handle when the serving group like invitation goes awry? And now you're like, we brought all the fire. And all of a sudden you're kind of met with that wet blanket.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because we've had things like like a small group, they'll show up to the place they're supposed to serve, and there's nobody there. The building's locked. It just
Yep.
right there. Not only was there not a quick service, there was no service at all. right? So we talk about those kind of things with the adults before is preparing them to say you always have to be flexible. Like it's not a question of when things are going to go wrong, but what's going to go wrong. Nothing ever goes to plan, right? So you've got to be flexible. And one of the expectation things that we set for our adults is like the students feed off your energy. If you're negative, kids are negative. If you're positive, that's going to feed into the kids, right? They follow your lead. So one being flexible, but then also we talk to the kids about the service work. I'm like, we go through a different company that have local people in the town we're going to. They're setting up the workforce because they know the needs in their town. We don't assume that we know the needs in their town. we ask them, and we show up. Whatever they need us to do, that's what we do. Right. So setting up that expectation for the kids is like, if you're going to sit down and talk with an elderly person for an hour, show up. If you're going to build something, show up. Right. Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm going to say one of the other things that I love that we do is every single kid in our trip has a leadership role. And we say, you know, without you doing your job, your group falls apart. Like you are needed in serving each other. So we assign them leadership roles as well that they have to carry out through the trip, and it transforms them. They rise to the occasion. When you set that bar high, they rise to the occasion, right?
They sure do.
What's an example of some of those roles?
Oh, yeah. We have a communications leader or two. They take photos. They write the daily blog of what their group did every day. And we post that up so parents can connect. We have a hospitality leader. So their job is to greet the person that's hosting us and get to know their names. And they write a thank you card for letting us serve with them. And then they have everybody in their small group sign it. And then we mail it to them after the end of the trip. Or the church we're staying at, right? Thank you cards. Important. Yeah. Things like that.
And then the cook.
Oh, yeah. Food is vitally important.
And we need 80 hamburgers. Thank you. What sizes are the groups you usually take? How many youth and how many adults? And what's the ratio?
Yeah, what we do is we have 12 passenger vans. So each van is a small group because we're going off to different sites. So each van has 2 adult leaders and then up to like 8 to 10 students in each van.
No, okay. That sounds good.
Great. Well, Neil, to close us up, can you share a story about where you felt like your group was really prepared and how that, you know, looked at on your trip, like what a difference it made to prepare them with that accompaniment?
Sure. Well, some of the years we've gone to these places where it's like kind of like a shopping market. So like people in need can come and like go through and like pick out vegetables or pick out meat, pick out dairy stuff for their family, right?
Okay.
And we've had students that help restock, but then also shop with the families, which is such a cool experience. But we've noticed that it was like they were just doing the task, right? They weren't getting anything out of it. And so when we had these pre-trip meetings and started talking about expectations, about showing up, it was amazing that after those same kind of experiences, kids would share the person who they served with, who they were shopping with, be like, well, I met Martha today, and they would tell us all about Martha and her family and what she's going through, right? It totally transformed them from a task that they were doing to actually being in a relationship. Yeah, it was very cool to watch that unfold. So, but it's also,
love it.
Right? It's the little things too.
Yeah, it
Kids
really
holding
is.
each other accountable. Like we don't say less fortunate, or hey, that wasn't kind. Like you didn't show up today, like you needed to.
I know it's the students, man. When you teach them how to be right, like they will keep you more accountable than the adults a lot of times.
100%.
What I have found out in leading camps and trips and all that kind of stuff. Well, oh my gosh, Neil, thank you so much. What a wealth of knowledge. What a gift you have given our listeners with the experience that you have. So thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I love the 3TC podcast. I listen every month. I look forward to it. It's awesome.
Neil,
Awesome.
if you ever need a new job that pays and hugs, we are hiring in Marquette. So, and I will hug you every day, tell you how amazing you are.
He does give
Because
good hugs, I would say.
I'm guessing that Neil, if you could go to every church, you could be a life source for flipping some of these ministries that are just wondering. Because I think our ministries are hungry for what you're talking about. And I think it's just trying to figure out that first starting point. So I think you've given us a lot of things. I was writing some notes for myself even. So this year's mission trip will be better because of you, Neil. So thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Before we go, here are a few quick announcements and reminders. Registration for Extravaganza 2026 is open. This is the gathering of adults who serve in children, youth, and family ministries in the ELCA. It's 4 days of great learning, spiritual renewal, and connection with colleagues who do the same work you do. Going to the E will strengthen your congregation's ministry. The 2026 event will be held in St. Louis, Missouri from January 30th to February 2nd. You can get more info at ext26.org. We will see you there. Don't forget to take a look at the network's Connect Journal. The journal publishes new articles roughly every 2 weeks that help you to think, wonder, and dream about your congregation's ministry. We have 2 different series releasing right now. The first is a series of articles with learnings coming from the Formation Co-op. And the second is a series of articles on how we process mission trip experiences with young people. You can find them at www.connectjournal.org. Thanks to all who are members of the network. Your membership makes things like Third Tuesday Conversation, Oasis, Connect Journal, and Formation Co-op, and Martin's List, and Extravaganza, and much more possible. If you're not a member of the network, we encourage you to join. Our memberships are what make all of this possible. We're grateful to be a community that cares for this ministry. Thanks so much for listening. New podcasts will be released on the third Tuesday of every month. Be sure to like and subscribe so you receive them as they come out, and share with your friends. Heck, share with your enemies. And finally, thanks to Paul Amlin, the 3TC producer, for his work. Have a great week, and look for our next episode being released on the third Tuesday next month. This is Alex signing off.
Veronica signing off, everyone.
All right. Peace, friends. We'll catch you next month.